Alright, welcome back. I've got a $20 bill for the first student that can tell me what are the dates of the Civil War. Dial 418-612-1865. That number again is April 1861 to 1865. Alright, welcome back. Today we'll start off with the ball game. Now, we don't know for sure all the rules, but what I'm telling you is our best guess. So the ball game was played with a rubber ball weighing sometimes up to 5 or even 7 pounds. There's stories where they're a lot smaller, and you can't use your hands. You have to use your knees or your elbows or your feet, and you have to kick the ball through the hoop. And the stories that I've heard is 1 point wins. And if you kick it through the hoop, the game is over. The game can last multiple sessions, maybe take 2-3 days before someone can kick it through that hoop. So that's pretty interesting. It's both a religious and a political and a ceremonial event. It's almost like combat in some ways. It's very important to this ancient Mesoamerican culture. Now, who invented the ball game? It's the oldest Mesoamerican culture, which is, you tell me, the Olmec. Exactly, you knew that. Okay, by the way, this is a quick review. If you selected that the oldest Mesoamerican culture was someone other than the Olmec, put that in your brain, put that in your notes. I'll do the best I can to get back your quizzes. I'm still learning how to use Google Classroom, but if you got the first question on the quiz wrong from last time, make sure you know Olmec are the oldest Mesoamerican culture. What happens to the losing team? Uh-oh. I'm afraid you're going to have to be sacrificed to the gods, or maybe be decapitated. Yeah, so you don't want to lose, you want to win. All right, here is stone carving. Take a look at this. What do you see there? Before I tell you, you tell me. Take a look. What are we looking at? Okay, yeah, you've got the winner, and he's either spitting or breathing fire, and then you've got this vanquished foe down at the ground. He's got his tongue sort of stuck out. There you go. So you want to be a winner. Let's move on. This is a cartoon called Scene from a Cartoon. I would normally play it for you, and they're playing the ball game in the cartoon, but it's copyrighted material, and YouTube won't let me upload it. Okay, quick review. Don't look at the bottom. Don't look at the bottom. You're in the red zone. What country is that? Mexico. And that means you're the, what? Aztec, exactly. You're looking at that magenta, hot pink. That's the Mayan. And what do we call that little tail looking guy? That's right. Okay, good job on that. That is the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay.
You have chosen wisely.
And down in the bottom where the Incas are, that's right, the Andes Mountains. Okay, so let's take a look at Tikal. This is one of the Mayan cities. I'm showing it to you again. Here's the Temple of the Sun. It says, I don't know why the letters are behind the picture. I'm sorry. It says, why would you have a temple to the sun? It's important because you need to grow food. So rain, sun, moon, you're tied into these elements because they're growing food. Here's another picture of Temple of the Sun. By the way, this is in Tenochtitlan or near Tenochtitlan. And so this was going to be what civilization? The Aztec, exactly. Going back to the Mayans real quick. They're among the first to use zero. Who else was the first to use zero? First to use zero. That's right. The Hindu Indus region in India. Remember they put the stones in the hole, and when you took the stones out, the hole was left over, and we think that's where zero came from. Okay, so they'll have zero. Here's a quick video about the Mayan calendar.
The calendar round is made up of 3 interlocking cycles: a 365-day solar year, a cycle of 20 names, and a cycle of 13 numbers. Days are designated by the way these 3 cycles line up. For example, this day is 3 Manic and the 14th of the month Pope, followed by 4 Lammat, 15 Pope, 5 Muluk, 16 Pope, and so on. 52 years will pass before the 3 cycles line up in the same way again. Then, these days will repeat.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to talk about the decline of the Mayan. And you can write this down, but there's something bigger brewing under the surface, and let me talk to you about that. So one possible explanation for the decline of the Mayan is that the king demanded too much tribute, demanded too much from his people, and they just quit. They just said, no, we're not going to do this. Another possibility is warfare. Okay, the city-states, they start going to war with each other. What other city-state went to war with one another? Exactly. Remember when Athens and Sparta went to war with each other? So perhaps that's what's happening. But what is another lens? What's the most popular lens in history right now? Climate change. Okay, possible that the climate changed and the population grew, and there was no way to have enough food for that expanding population. Now here's what I want you to see. Not trying to get into climate change good, climate change bad, climate change real, climate change fake. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you see the past through the lens, through a contemporary lens, through the lens of the present. So if you're writing a history book in the 1940s or the 1950s, when World War II is going on, what happens? What causes everything to collapse? Warfare, because you see the past through your lens. Well, what's one of the big things happening now that everybody's talking about? Climate change. So what happened to the Anasazi? Climate change. What's happening real, like present day? What's happening today that's affecting the world? Okay, a virus, an illness. So a lot of the history that's being written right now is going to say disease. What happened to the Anasazi? Disease. Why did the Mayans die out? Disease. Does that make sense? You see the past through the lens of the present. And that's the bigger picture that I want you to get from this. We don't actually know what happened to some of these civilizations, but we speculate based on what's happening to us. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So the new intel that I was alluding to in the last lesson, I've been telling you city-state, 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 because the geography dictates that you can't have a big giant city. So we thought. In the materials section of the class on the Google Classroom, you will see the National Geographic article, and I want you to read that. And it's going to show you what they discovered when they used LIDAR over Guatemala, and they're going to show you some new findings. And so make sure you read that. History can change, and I know that that seems strange. The events of the past don't change, but what we know about the events of the past does change. Does that make sense?
It's not often I do a news update, but under the tree canopies in the jungles of northern Guatemala, tens of thousands of structures built by the Maya over a millennium ago have been found. Not far from the sites tourists already know, like the towering temples of the ancient city of Tikal, laser technology has uncovered around 60,000 homes, palaces, tombs, and even highways in the humid lowlands. The landscape is thought to have been home to millions more people than other research had previously suggested. The researchers mapped over 810 square miles in northern Petan, and archaeologists believe the cutting-edge technology will change the way the world views the Maya civilization. How it works is that lasers are shot down from planes to pierce through the thick foliage of the forest to paint a 3D picture of the ground below. The technology is called light detection and ranging, or LiDAR. The dense tree canopy was digitally removed so we could see what was under the surface of the now uninhabited Guatemalan rainforest. And it truly is
Okay, let's get into some lighter stuff now. There's the Aztec Empire in Mexico. You can see the city of Tenochtitlan right there on the map. Tenochtitlan is what city today? Mexico City. Okay, that's a good job. Let's give you 2 Mario coins here. All right, very good. So Tenochtitlan, center of the Aztec Empire, built right there on the lake. Quick vocabulary word. Oh, that's not yet. Okay. It's got a huge population. When the Europeans show up in a minute, they will see this city and they will be in awe. This is one of the largest cities in the world at this time. Okay. Here's a quick video on Tenochtitlan.
Mexico City is situated in the south-central region of the country, within the Valley of Mexico. 500 years ago, it existed as the island city of Tenochtitlan, the vibrant center of the Aztec world with a population of 200,000. The city's early Aztec and Spanish leaders expanded the city's territory through a process of land reclamation and canal building. At the beginning of the 21st century, Mexico City stands as one of the world's most populous cities, the cosmopolitan capital and economic engine of a country of 100 million. The first known inhabitants of Mexico City were the Aztec and Mexica peoples, who had arrived in the Valley of Mexico by the early 14th century. They constructed and planted chinampas, small, stationary artificial islands built in Lake Texcoco, using layers of vegetation, dirt, and mud. These chinampas were used as gardens and for agriculture. The Aztec Mexica reclaimed large amounts of land in this manner. Legend holds that the god Huitzilopochtli instructed the Aztecs to make a permanent home on a sacred site which would be marked by an eagle with a snake in its beak, perched on a prickly pear cactus. The Aztecs came upon the sign on a small island along the western edge of Lake Texcoco. In 1325, they founded Tenochtitlan there. Today, the image of the snake-bearing eagle on a cactus is Mexico's coat of arms and central design of its flag.
Okay, welcome back. Here was the slide I thought we were on to. This is your vocab word. Chinampas. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Floating gardens. You don't have enough area to farm, so you make these floating gardens, and the video will show you how they put the wood in the ground and they actually expanded the city. Okay, now we're back and we're talking about one of the most important things in this lecture, and that is the Columbian Exchange. Okay, remember, people fan out across the globe. The ice bridge melts. North and South America are developing independently of the rest of the world. Then Columbus discovers America. Europe comes back and they're going to start trading. Does this make sense? And so that's what the Columbian Exchange is. Okay, going from America or the Americas to Europe, you can see a bunch of items there. Before I tell you individual ones, what category would you put all those items in? What category would you put those items in? Okay, food. Okay, today's word of the day, pizza. All right. Notice tomatoes coming from the New World, the Americas, to Europe, the Old World. There is no pizza before the Columbian Exchange. Inconceivable! I know. The Columbian Exchange is what makes pizza possible. There are no tomatoes in Europe. We associate Ireland with potatoes, but the potatoes came from America. All this food goes to Europe. And then from Europe, what comes to the Americas? Well, different kinds of food, but you should focus on the most important one because historically it's the most important one, and that is disease. Okay? Disease is going to wipe out the Native Americans. Okay, so let's take a look at what comes from the old world to the new world. Food, yes, different types of food. Notice livestock, we call these beasts of burden. Horses, we think of the Native Americans as riding horses oftentimes and shooting bows and arrows. There were no horses in the Americas until the Spanish brought them over. Interesting, right? And then look at this last one, disease. The Native Americans are going to be extremely susceptible to these new diseases. And we're going to talk about why. So what you need to know, I want you to memorize 3 things that go from the new world to the old world, and 3 things that go from the old world to the new world. And one of those needs to be disease because it's so historically important. Also, why does disease impact the native population? Think about it for a second before I tell you the answer. Exactly. They have never seen these diseases. So they don't have an immunity. One, they don't have the immunity, and that's the most important part. But the second part, they don't have any knowledge, any way to know how to cure it. So you go to the doctor, you go to the medicine man, and he goes, the normal cures aren't working for these new diseases. And so it's going to wipe out, it's going to decimate the Native American population. So when you think of Columbian Exchange, listen, this is the short way, the compact way to think about it. Calories go to Europe. Europe benefits from the calories. Diseases go to the New World, and they do not benefit from the diseases. And I know that that's an oversimplified version, but for now, that's what we're going to say, okay? Does that sound fair? This might not be fair, but that's what we're going to do. Other thing I want to mention, we haven't gotten to Europe and the Black Plague yet. The plague kills, estimates range from 30 to 60%. I like to say about 50%. It's a coin flip. It kills about half of Europe. But the people that survive, their immunities are really strong. And so they're not going to die to smallpox and some of these other, I don't want to call them smaller diseases, but these other diseases. But when they bring them to the Native Americans, they will die. Does that make sense? So I'm just front loading that information. We haven't gotten to the Black Plague yet, and the Black Plague is terrible. But if there is any sort of positive outcome, it's that the people that survive have very strong immunity or a very strong immune system. Does that make sense? All right, let's keep rolling. Here's another picture of the Columbian Exchange. America are going to be called what? New or Old World? New World. Okay, they are discovered by the Old World, which is Europe. Fair enough? Okay, let's turn the slides off. Give me 3 items that go from the New World to the Old World. You tell me. Good job. Okay, good job. How about from the Old World to the New World? What are some items? What's the most important item? Here's a...
Excellent.
Good job. Okay, very good. So don't forget, Columbian Exchange, super important. Do you have any questions about the Columbian Exchange? No questions? Okay, fantastic. Here's a video.
About the natives. Did they survive? Smallpox killed them in the millions, 90% died. Natives got diseases and Europeans gained golden food. Life improved by Columbian Exchange. New colonies exchange goods and the seas coming from overseas. For those triple G's. Columbian Exchange. They coming for that gold. Columbian Exchange. Spread the God across the globe. Columbian Exchange. For that country, get that glory. Columbian Exchange. Come and listen to the story. Yeah.
Okay, Cortez lands in Veracruz, and his sailors, after a while, they want to go home. They want to go back to Spain. Cortez burns the ships, okay, as motivation. We're not going back, boys. You need to focus on the future and focus on building us a city right here. You might hear the term burn the ships. In the same way you might hear the term crossing the Rubicon. What does crossing the Rubicon mean? No turning back. You've got to go forward. What does burning the ships mean? No turning back. We're going forward. Does that make sense? We'll talk more about Cortez in the next lecture. I hope you have a great day and take care.